This medal is for my studies on tropical forests and climate change, which is both about how climate change is affecting the tropical forests, the most biodiverse regions of the planet, but also how we can protect and restore tropical forests to act as some sort of buffer against climate change. I'm pleased to get this award because I think it reflects not only my team's work here at Oxford, but the way that we work across the planet with colleagues, students, researchers in many countries and regions around the world. In the early years of this award in the 19th and 20th century, it was always for perhaps explorers going out and discovering a new continent or being the first European to be in a certain part of the world. But I think in the last few decades, the way we do this science is very, very different. It's far less about going to some exotic other place and finding out about it. I am lucky enough to go to some extremely exotic places, but it's much more working with people and partners who live in those places and together working out what's going on with these forests and strengthening the capacity of those partners to be able to carry on in the future and build centres of expertise and research into their own forests. Well, some of the messages that are coming out from our work is that we're seeing that forests, even in the remotest parts of the tropics, are responding to global change. We're seeing changes in the growth rates and death rates of trees, in the composition of trees, and we're also seeing that the tropical forest biome plays a significant role in determining the global carbon cycle and water cycles, and therefore buffering global climate or affecting global climates. We see that both in the long-term changes we're seeing, but also in the short term. So recently a big focus of our work has been trying to understand how the recent El Niño affected tropical forests around the world, and whether that can explain why the biosphere as a whole seems to pour out carbon dioxide during El Niño events, and what that tells us about how stable the biosphere is under future climate change. So at the moment the biosphere is acting as a moderate brake on the rate of rise of CO2 in the atmosphere by absorbing a fraction of our emissions. But there is a danger that under a warming climate that brake may switch off or turn into an accelerator, and therefore we could reach some dangerous tipping point and threshold. And we need to understand where these tipping points and thresholds are. And I think our work, actual field measurements in the forests, are telling us a lot more about where in the tropical forest biome where this threshold and tipping point might be.